I posted a joke about Kelantan on Twitter while criticizing Hudud. Smart decision. Very smart. Again, people got mad. I posted it up on Twitter and said, Kelantan is a Muslim state, but it's also the state with the highest rates of HIV in the country. That's why the Kelantan football team is the best, because they're great at passing it around. Hey, come on! Come on! And people got mad, people got offended, people got angry. And I was like, why? That joke about HIV was pretty positive. Come on! And it went viral on Facebook because this Kelantanese girl wrote a long post arguing against my joke, all in English. And I was surprised. I didn't realize Kelantanese women were allowed to have an opinion. Come on! Yeah. And but it's hard to believe the responses and how mad people got at that joke. And you can see some of the responses I got on social media. Offended Malays were actively searching for my Instagram so they can post hate messages on all my photos. I'm like, wow, that's the first time I've seen Malays so hardworking, right? Come on! But yeah, why do some people laugh at that joke? And why do some people react in disgust on the term everyone is familiar with today, offended? What evokes these feelings? We laugh because it's an involuntary response to an external stimuli. We react to jokes because we get it. Let's look at the structure of a joke, right? Let's look at the structure of a joke. This is a short joke that I have. It's if Doctor Strange was Malaysian, he would be Indian, because Doctor Strange in Malay is Dr. Aneh. Classic Haikal punchline right there, ladies and gentlemen. But let's look at the structure. If Doctor Strange was Malaysian, premise, he would be Indian, setup. Doctor Strange in Malay is Dr. Aneh, punchline. Strange in Malay is Aneh, and we often refer to Indians as Aneh. There's a connection. We laugh because our brains link that connection. And all that equals a joke. So with the structure of a joke in mind, why do people laugh at offensive, dark jokes? Let me tell you the classic story. I think everybody knows the story, the Emperor's New Clothes. Yeah? So the Emperor's New Clothes, a tailor promises to make the best suit of clothing for the Emperor. But it says that only if you're worthy can you see the clothes. Essentially, the tailor is a troll. He basically gave nothing. But people didn't want to admit that they're not worthy. So everyone, including the Emperor, pretends in this charade that the Emperor is not naked and has clothes on. This goes on until a kid actually points it out. And then everyone realizes that the Emperor is naked, and everyone starts to laugh. But why dismiss the truth in the first place? Why only laugh when someone points it out? The same reason why we laugh at dark, offensive jokes. They deal with a taboo subject, something that we're not supposed to talk about casually or openly in public. And when a comedian makes a joke about that subject, we unearth what's underneath the surface. And people suddenly realize it, they get it, and they laugh. The Emperor is Kelantan. The invisible clothes are the taboo subjects. And the kid is the comedian. But what about being offended? I mean, we can get offended over the simplest things. I can get offended if you tell me I have bad taste in movies, in which case I say, Nicolas Cage is a national treasure, so don't say anything about him. But that's the thing, if you offend people, they get defensive. And when people get defensive, they get irrational. And when people get irrational, you get the same sort of responses that I got on social media. But people will say that I mean, it's understandable. It's understandable that you get offended. It's your right to be. It's your choice to be. But some people will say that, don't be so sensitive, laugh more. But can we really laugh at anything? Is it right to be offended if you should? See, not everyone can do dark, offensive jokes. That's what I like about them. It's an art. To toe the line between racy and funny, between offensive and funny, and the line can be shaky, the line can be blurred, you know? And I'll say you can make jokes about anything. Some people say you can't, because everyone has different expectations of what is offensive and what is a joke. Tragedies, for example. Like recently on Twitter, someone made a joke about the hospital fire in Johor that killed 6 people. And that's a terrible joke. It's terrible. See, that's the difference between a comedian and a non-comedian. For us, as comedians, we sort of know what that line is between offensive and funny through experience. And we will play with that line, but we respect that line. And at the same time, there will be times when we go over the line, but through experience, again, we know what the line is beforehand. While a non-comedian does it because they can. Like when Prince Harry dressed up as a Nazi and he got flack for it, as compared to if a comedian does a joke about the Holocaust. You know? Anyone in this room can do a joke about the Holocaust. I can do a joke about the Holocaust, you can do a joke about the Holocaust, your parents can do a joke about the Holocaust, anyone can. But it's the presentation that matters. When I was in Singapore, I did a show, and I did terrible. I bombed, you know. I mean, the first mistake of the night, besides going to Singapore, right? Hey! My first mistake of the night was I was doing Holocaust jokes with the crowd. You know, they didn't like it. I was doing Holocaust jokes like, hey yo, if I could create a shampoo, I would create a shampoo just for Jewish people, and I'll call it ethnic cleansing. Hey, you know? And the crowd didn't like that. The crowd didn't like that at all. And I was bombing. So I was like, if I'm gonna bomb, I'm gonna go out with a bang, all right? So I asked the crowd, how many Jews in the house tonight? One person at the back went, woo! Yeah. So I'm like, oh, only one Jew. I guess Hitler did a pretty good job. Come on! You know? And the crowd went ballistic. The Singaporeans were going, what the hell? The French were going, what the hell? The Germans were just not in agreement. That's right. You know? But right after that, I asked the crowd, how many Palestinians in the house tonight? No answer. So I was like, oh, no Palestinians. I guess the Jews did a better job. Come on. And I can tell you, people got uncomfortable when I did the whole Hitler did a pretty good job punchline. But when I did a Palestinian punchline, I got laughter. Was it wrong to joke about Hitler killing Jews? It happened. That's the truth. It happened. But to use that as a springboard to highlight the hypocrisy of Israel when it comes to Palestine, that's one way of how you can use tragedy in jokes. Like, let's say, when 9/11 happened, comedy died in the US. Saturday Night Live, a show about comedy sketches, had Lorne Michaels ask the then mayor of New York, can we be funny? And it's true. Something terrible happened. As comedians, for us, we need to address it. It's wired in us. It's an elephant in the room and we need to talk about it. Which is what comedian Guilford Godfrey did when he joked about 9/11, saying that, oh, my plane is going to be making a stop at the Empire State Building. He got booed off stage. So Americans were stuck with 9/11. Comedians were stuck with 9/11. How do you move past that? How do you make a joke about a tragedy that shook a nation, that tore down that safety net, that killed thousands of people? It's almost impossible to. It wasn't until a popular satirical site, The Onion, dedicated a piece to 9/11, but the jokes were not aimed at the victims or the tragedy. The jokes were aimed at the hijackers. with stories on how they're being tortured in hell, to the now famous headline, God angrily clarifies don't kill rule. That's a joke about 9/11. But because of the perspective, the angle that they chose, it's funny. And in a way, that's what a good joke is. A good joke doesn't make fun of something terrible. It takes something terrible and turns it into something silly and ridiculous so we can laugh. That's our job. That's what we do. And what happened is that this helped Americans to start laughing again. And that's what comedy does. It helps you to get past tragedy. It helps you to deal with difficult emotions and speaks truth to power. When there's a thing about jokes and their place in society. Their function in society is to hold up a mirror so that we can confront realities that we prefer to sometimes ignore. That's what I say. What about humor? Humor is a rubber sword. That's what I say. Because it allows you to make a point without drawing blood. Like stereotypes. A lot of people say you can't make jokes about race and religion because you're perpetuating the stereotype. And that's why they say stereotypes exist for a reason, right? And I know the negative things that people in Malaysia say about my race and religion, but whatever they say, I'll say it myself on stage. And that gives me power, over them. So what happens is that's why most of my jokes are focused and close to my frustrations on race and religion. I don't like where they're going, so I criticize them through my jokes. That's why I did my joke about Kelantan, and also one of my favorite jokes I've done about Malays is this: behind every great Malay man is a great Malay woman. Behind every great Malay woman is a Malay man going, "Mana tudung?" You know? So whatever negative things people say about my race and religion, I'll say it myself on stage. And that takes away their ability to use that stereotype against me and my community. But too often we get too caught up in our own sensitivity and hypocrisy that we don't see what we're missing and what we're dismissing. I'm not saying that you can't be offended and you need to have a sense of humor. I think it's great people get offended. I think it's great. It creates discussion. Why is it offensive? And for us, for comedians like us, our job is not to facilitate these discussions. We're just here to make you laugh. I'm just here to tell you jokes. I'm just posting jokes on Twitter. That's what I do. We make people laugh. But we create the means for that discussion. So that's the whole point of dark offensive jokes. It allows us to understand each other better. Like why? If you were to laugh at that joke, you need to understand why people were offended by that joke too. And if you were offended by that joke, you need to understand why people were laughing at that joke. And that's what dark offensive jokes do. It creates conversations so that we can understand one another. So when we do, what happens is that we're able to laugh more at ourselves, at society, at institutions, together. And at the same time, we can learn to move forward as human beings. That's been my speech for today. And if you like what I joke about, what I say, and what I talk about, you can follow me on Twitter at Haikal Classic. Thank you very much.